So would you stop hanging out with your work bestie because you needed some personal space? So let's grab a pen and paper and get started. Hi, I'm Kat Starling and I like to make doodle videos paired with internet discussions and conversations. So let's unwind, listen, and reflect on some human stories. AITA for staying away from a coworker who everyone thinks is my best friend. Sometimes I have phases in my life where I get socially drained and need to be alone. I totally get this. Sometimes you just need to recharge.
Come on! What you really need is a recharge!
One time, after a week of interacting with people, both work-wise and not, I suddenly got this strong need and urge to be alone for a while. I have a coworker. We're close, but I don't really consider her a best friend, just really hang out mostly in the office, who I hang out with a couple times outside of work along with other coworkers. We've been friends for 3 years, but it's kind of a weird relationship because she does a lot of poopy things to me, her boyfriend, and other people at work. I tried breaking it off once, but it didn't go so well because all of the guilt tripping she does. And I felt sorry for her because of, well, the guilt tripping. Yeah, so that's how guilt tripping works. It makes you feel guilty, so you change your no to a yes. So that week, I was so drained, I knew I had to recover fast. I would decline her invites to eat lunch with her, eat lunch alone, then nap for the rest of the break. Yeah, I really get this. And I'm really the kind of person, if given the choice, I probably only need to socialize 1 day a week. I told her I needed time alone after all that socializing I did, which was too much for an introvert like me. Some of my coworkers noticed it and asked her if something was up with us. One day, she opened up to me and said all this stuff that made me feel like I wronged her for staying away. Oh my god, her inability to be alone is not your responsibility. Jeez. Non-verbatim, she said things like, quote, "I'm not used to being alone." Quote, "When will it end?" Referring to my recharging and coping mechanisms. Quote, "Is it true people feel that way?" And quote, "What did I do wrong?" She literally thought everything was about her. I didn't think of it much, but I ended up consoling her and saying she did nothing wrong, etc., etc. When I got home, I sent her a message and said she does not have to think that my decision to stay away was because of her. It's just that I'm going through some stuff that I need to deal with on my own, and that sometimes people are just weird that way. No, not weird. Roughly half the population is introverted, so maybe she can get her head out of her own butt and think about other people for a change. Oh, I'm feeling sassy.
Super sassy, super sassy.
Next day, she told me that she told her boyfriend about our talk and about my message. The boyfriend reprimanded her, saying she invaded my space. Good for that boyfriend. That's when I realized that she did invade my space. I was dealing with my own but here she was, thinking everything revolved around her. And she had the nerve to talk to me about it while implying I abandoned her. Worst part, she cried. Like I broke her heart or something. Disclaimer, she's clingy, never takes no for an answer. She's good at guilt tripping, so you say yes. She also is kinda mean, points out flaws, mocks me when I make a mistake at work, always has something negative to say on things that I'm excited about. Okay, yeah, so we got it. She kind of sucks. Why are we friends with this person? Huh? She didn't used to be this way. Now, I don't really hang out with her that much. She still tries to rope me in, but I've learned how to say no now, especially when what she wants is inconvenient to me. She would get whiny and insist I say yes, which is exasperating. And from time to time, she says things that make me feel guilty for it. I don't know. She has terrible abandonment issues. Am I the asshole for no longer tolerating her? So I very much understand this need to want to be alone to recharge the social batteries. I personally have very little patience for people like this. The people that I like to surround myself with understand that when I tell them I need alone time, it means I need alone time, and it has nothing to do with them. Sometimes, how well they accept my no is a measure of a good friend. Do they accept it with grace and understanding, or do they push back, guilt trip, and manipulate to get me to change my answer? Everything she's doing and saying is all about her own insecurities, and she needs to learn that when people tell her no, that it's gonna be okay. Don't let her rope you in. Keep doing what you're doing. You can still be nice and kind, but do it from a distance. The friend is the kind of person I refer to as the energy sucker. They are only there to suck your energy. I can't with these people.
Energy vampires drain people's energy merely by talking to them.
Actual versus budget year to date, no thanks.
Yep, suck you dry till you have nothing left to give and then blame you for not giving more. No wonder. I feel like I can finally breathe whenever I don't see or hear her. Never had a toxic friend in the past, so this was a new experience for me that I didn't know how to deal with. NTA, I had a coworker just like her. Mine would invite me out after work and whine incessantly about her husband, who she refused to divorce but didn't live with anymore. Never got a word in about my life. Just her insane marriage. And her birthday? Let's just say the entire office had to be decorated and she wore a sash and crown the entire day. People like that, especially coworkers, are an emotional drain. They make you feel that somehow it's all about them. And if you don't give them the extra dose of attention they crave, they drive you nuts. Good for you for keeping your distance and standing your emotional guard. Yeah, this is why I hate working in offices. I hate working with people like this. And I know I might sound like the butt for this, but I just want to show up to work, do my work, and go home. I really don't have the energy to make sure Sarah gets her daily dose of attention and adoration for me. NTA, but please use this as a chance to self-reflect about how you respond to her behavior. You are letting her manipulate you because you find it hard to set firm boundaries. The result is much worse for you in the long run compared to some initial discomfort from setting boundaries. Yeah, sometimes you gotta learn this lesson the hard way before you start seeing these red flags faster. I used to be the people pleaser and the therapist friend. A certain type of person will attach themselves to you and drain you emotionally until you put a stop to it. I found it hard to adjust at first, but it has made me a much happier to just refuse to engage in friendships that are a net negative in my life. Yes, agreed. NTA, you're not her parent or psychiatrist. If she can't stand being alone, that is her problem to deal with, not your problem to fix. Sounds like her boyfriend stands up to her, and she hasn't died. Why can't you? If you fall for her guilt trip, then you will be the a-hole for letting her manipulate you. Set your boundaries and do not let her put what is her responsibility on your shoulders. You've already explained how you feel. Now take a stand or keep being her servant. It's your choice. So you're not the a-hole, and I think it's best to keep your distance from this coworker. AITA for telling my coworker to stop asking me what I'm having for lunch. One of my pet peeves is when people ask me or comment about what I'm having for lunch. Even comments such as, "Oh, that looks good," or "What are you having?" or "Did you make it yourself?" bother me. Okay, I can get that. Me personally, during my break, I just want to be left alone and have some quiet. Maybe it's because I don't like to feel judged on what I choose to eat, or maybe I just feel like my privacy is being invaded. Whatever the case, I just hate when people talk to me about my food choices. Okay, so, there's a chance people might not even be judging you for your food choices. They're just genuinely curious about what you're eating. But I can understand being uncomfortable with that line of questioning. If you don't want to talk about your food, which is understandable, it is okay to politely ask them to stop. I can definitely see this as like a form of small talk, and I am not a fan of small talk. One of my coworkers loves to talk about recipes and what everyone is having for lunch. I usually eat in my car to avoid being annoyed, but recently the landscapers cut down the tree branch that gave my parking spot shade. So I've been forced to eat in the break room this past week. Every day, this coworker has gone on for at least 10 minutes asking about what I'm eating. Yesterday, my coworker saw the lunch I had brought and again started asking if I made it myself, if it is spicy, and if I cooked it very often, and on and on. So I said, "Why are you so obsessed with what I'm having? I just want to eat in peace without explaining everything I made for lunch." I tried to say it in a joking but not joking tone. And you lost me there. Okay. I could understand if you had said several times, "Hey, I don't want to talk about my food," and I really think you would have mentioned that here, but you didn't, and what you said was kind of harsh. Well, she got so offended and simply said, "Well, sorry, I don't need to know."
Jerk.
And she left the break room. The rest of the afternoon, she ignored me. And today, she was really short with me. I don't want to apologize because I meant it, but AITA? Oh man, so yeah, you are. Because what you said was maybe true for you, but she didn't know that. She didn't know you were not willing to talk about your food. She is not a mind reader. And honestly, your delivery really sucked. You basically had me up until the point you snapped at them. I personally understand being alone and not wanting to talk to anybody during lunchtime, but you definitely could have approached it softer. Hey, I just want some alone time, or I'm not up for talking about food. You should probably go and find this coworker and apologize for snapping at them because they really didn't deserve it. Maybe, if you can, calmly explain to them that lunchtime is just the time you wish to have alone. So let's take a look at some of these comments. I think the issue is that you skipped a step. You went from saying nothing to a harsh comment, which was seemingly out of nowhere, when you should have just politely drawn a boundary that you wouldn't discuss food. If you had snapped after drawing the boundary, which was ignored, that'd be much more understandable. But you didn't do that. YTA for your communication style. Yeah, exactly. This. I do sympathize with OP because I actually 100% know what they're talking about. IDK what their reason is, but I struggle with EDs. And eating in front of people I'm not very close to. It's tough for me, and I hate when people go out of their way to notice and make comments about what I'm eating. Even kind, complimentary comments make me wildly uncomfortable. As others have pointed out, I realized long ago this is a me problem, and people don't do this maliciously or with the intention to make me feel uncomfortable. Going straight to, even half jokingly, essentially telling your coworker to F off makes OP the a-hole. You can be polite, but give a brief 1-2 word answer to clearly communicate you are not interested in prolonging this conversation without making it a whole thing. I do like this suggestion with the 1 word or brief answers because honestly, short or 1 word answers do make it really hard to have a conversation. Yes, OP came off quite harshly. I'm kind of a sensitive person myself. I know if someone reacted like that to me, I would be really hurt and avoid talking to them in the future. Yeah, same. I would have totally avoided OP entirely. Some people just like to make conversation and probably feel like food is a safe topic, not knowing that it's not for others. It definitely could have been handled in a kinder way, especially considering OP works with this person. Why are you so obsessed with my food? Yeah, I couldn't read that without imagining OP as Regina George. YTA, for talking to your coworker like you're a teenager in Mean Girls, OP. But at least now this person knows she can't sit with us. Yeah, so I definitely had to do the voice there.
So fetch. What is fetch? Oh, it's like slang from England.
But yeah, I think the coworker will not bother you anymore. But I don't know, I really would go and apologize, honestly. Unless you're one of those people who don't care about hurting others' feelings. I'm pretty much always as direct as possible when it comes to this kind of stuff. And I don't know why other people aren't. Because if someone came at me like that, I wouldn't think, wow, I guess food is an uncomfortable subject, but wow, I guess they hate me. Yep, that's exactly how I would have taken it. Especially since the ultimate result is that they wanted to be left alone and then are surprised when that's what their coworker does. But I wasn't going to say OP was the a-hole until, quote, I don't want to apologize because I meant it. Clearly, if there was a problem here, it wouldn't have been with what they said, but how they said it. And the concern should have been not, quote, they meant it, but that they may have upset this person. I don't understand people who have a hard time apologizing, but if you want to be one of those people, you have to be completely unconcerned with who you hurt. Ideally, yes. It would all be respectful and honest and direct. I'm thinking about my personal experience here. Part of having an ED, for me anyway, is being embarrassed that I can't just eat and comfortably have small talk about food like a normal person. I try not to draw attention to the fact that I feel this way. Personally, talking about what I'm eating makes me uncomfortable. Is not something I would admit to a coworker. Again, me problem. So I would prefer to give a quick answer and change the subject. I can understand this. A quick answer and a subject change if you do want to have a conversation during lunch. I would also suggest a conversation change and asking a question about themselves to get the topic off of you. But if you wish to have a quiet break, you can say so. You being unwilling to engage in common social interaction is your problem. YTA. Right? Literally every day, my work colleagues and I discuss lunch. Everybody likes food. It's one thing that every human being has in common, and eating together and mealtime has been a human ritual for hundreds of thousands of years, since we lived in caves. I think people vary greatly in what they do and don't like, and because of that, I don't think we can make such broad sweeping statements like this. It's very assumptive. Listen, I'm in no way defending OP here. OP 100% 1% is the a-hole, but just because everybody likes food, debatable in itself, does not mean everybody likes talking about food. Again, that doesn't excuse being rude like OP was, but there's a lot of holes in your logic bucket. The prior comment definitely puts the problem back into focus. Yeah, YTA, what an odd thing to get so worked up about. Life must be pretty boring, huh?
Wrong.
Ew, I don't like that comment at all. Everyone has their things that they're upset about. Everyone has topics they find uncomfortable. And everyone's allowed to have bad feelings and be upset. It's honestly boils down to how you handle them. His being uncomfortable to talk about food is not the problem, i.e. the emotion. It's about how it's handled, i.e. him snapping at his coworker. That's the real problem. So let's stop thinking we're better than everyone else because we are pretending and hiding our negative emotions. They are not the a-hole because of the pet peeve. They didn't handle it well, and that's the problem. But saying what you said is kind of wild because I've personally never met someone without pet peeves, and it's not that crazy. Also, food topics are not completely uncommon to be uncomfortable about because some people have EDs and don't want to talk about food. Yeah, this comment definitely has it right here. So yes, OP, you are the a-hole and maybe you should think about apologizing for snapping. Okay, let's take a look at this next story. AITA for leaving my friend at a restaurant after she, quote, tested me. Throwaway because a lot of my friends are on here. So I, 23 female, have a close friend, 24 female, who we'll call Stella, who has a really annoying habit of doing little things that, quote, test our friendship. She'll say stuff like, I just wanted to see if you'd notice that I was upset, or I just wanted to see if you would drop what you were doing to help me. Oh my God, like, be absolutely gone with this. No. This kind of stuff burns my butt and it is straight up controlling. Trash. Throw it all away. Like, seriously, OP, I'm exhausted for you already. And I'm only several sentences in and I'm already annoyed. Yeah, these games she's playing, they're just to test you to see if you will put up with her BS. Look, she doesn't want friends, she wants puppets. This really pissed me off. As it should, because this is childish and controlling. And I've told her before that I would really love it if she stopped doing that and just talked to me openly if something was bothering her. But why would she do that when she can just manipulate people to get what she wants? Last weekend, we went out to dinner with 2 friends. At the end, we asked for separate checks. When it came to me, I had noticed they had charged me for one of Stella's drinks. She had already paid, so I decided not to say anything because I didn't want to complicate everything for the staff. I figured I would just bring it up later. After dinner, while we were saying goodbye, I quickly mentioned to Stella that one of her drinks had been charged to my bill and that I thought she had overlooked it. I said it really nicely and pretty offhandedly. However, after I told her that, Stella suddenly got really cold and just said, oh, I'm a really awkward person and I don't know how to handle people when they're being rude or standoffish, so I kind of let it slide. Later that night, she texted me saying she felt I had been acting selfishly and that she didn't feel appreciated in our friendship despite her doing so much for me. She said she had noticed the drink wasn't charged to her and waited to see whether I would offer to cover it since she'd helped me move into my new apartment 2 months ago. Oh my God, no. She is literally keeping score. Like, every nice thing she'll do for you will be used against you later on. Don't fall for this trap. I understand wanting to be appreciated, but I was honestly really annoyed. Well, yeah, because she's trying to guilt trip you. I don't think it's healthy to help your friends and expect something in return. That feels really transactional. I told her that if she wanted me to buy her a drink as a thank you for helping me move, it would have been better to say so 2 months ago. Instead, this turned something small into some arbitrary test of friendship. Okay, this is not about being appreciated. This is her punishing you for speaking up about the drink in the first place, and in front of other people, no less. She replied that, quote, it shouldn't have to fall on her to keep reminding me to show basic appreciation. Just throw some water and be gone with her. We decided to meet for brunch the next day to talk it out in person. I got there first and ordered a coffee. However, before I could even say anything, she immediately started telling me how she hopes I thought more about my actions. Okay, I'm sorry. I keep interrupting the story, but I hate people like this.
Loathe and tire
At that point, I just couldn't do it anymore. I was so frustrated that any attempt at having a productive conversation turned into me somehow being the villain. I just stood up, paid for my coffee, and left. I mean, you could have left her with the bill. No, but really, leaving is what needed to happen. I texted her afterwards saying I was done participating in her little tests and that I couldn't be friends with someone who isn't willing to communicate like an adult. I just don't know how to make her understand that she needs to stop testing people, quite literally, AITA. Because she'll never understand. Okay, so OP added an edit for more information, but let me guess, the information was not necessary for me to think this friend, yep, really sucks, and you should scrape her off. Edit. I put this in a reply comment somewhere, but it got buried with all the incoming replies. I really did not expect this so many, geez. So I'm editing to add context. I didn't have enough characters originally to both get my rant out and explain all the details of the moving apartment thing, but I'm glad people brought it up. I'm actually someone who hesitates to ask people for help because I hate inconveniencing others, so I didn't ask her to help me move. She volunteered to do it herself. Yeah, of course, an easy task that she can hold over your head later, but go on. Even then, it wasn't anything too crazy like big furniture, just boxes I needed to transport over to my storage unit, which I was originally planning on doing myself anyway. And yes, I of course bought takeout for us after because I still would have felt really poopy taking advantage of someone even if they offered to help. Now, I'm thinking maybe to her it felt like something I would have done anyway on a random hangout and didn't necessarily feel like an explicit thank you, which I verbally said, of course. Pause. Let me get this straight. Because you generously buy her food on a normal hangout, she somehow thought that regardless of you verbally thanking her, that this wasn't enough of a thank you?
Wait, what?
IDK, but overall, I feel like the whole situation was literally nothing significant to begin with, so I have no idea how we got here. Thank you to everyone who shared their own experiences. You've all definitely helped me get clarity on the whole situation. I think I just started questioning whether I had been too emotional at the time and should have given her some grace. But it's definitely taxing being her friend in the long run, and I genuinely can't do it anymore. Yeah, what she's doing here is collecting favors like Uno reverses or wild cards to throw it back at you when it's convenient for her. It does not matter how thankful you are or how much food you buy her, it will never be good enough. I personally have friends like OP here who try to see the best in everybody, and sometimes people take advantage of this trait. So it burns my waffle when I see people taking advantage of people's kindness. The irony is that she's mad about you not passing her secret test while completely failing to communicate like a normal person. You're better off without this energy in your life. Yeah, OP is so NTA and is frankly better off without this nonsense in their life. And in my opinion, you're always better off removing these kind of people. This is a good lesson on how to spot these kinds of friends in the future. NTA. And it sounds like your friend was probably treated like this by her mother, father, or both parents. I've met people who have behaved this way because their parents were always testing them. She needs therapy. Maybe, we can only assume here, sometimes this is a learned trait as being the thing that you do to each other, or this is how we get and maintain friendships. It's wrong, but this is what they're taught is right. This is definitely something that she is going to have to work out with a therapist, not you. Yeah, we can understand the behavior, but do not let that understanding trick you into thinking you need to stay and help this person. Understand and give compassion from a distance. She isn't testing your friendship, she is testing how susceptible you are to abuse. Conclusion, not very. Run fast, run far, block her on everything, don't entertain any more manipulation attempts. Yeah, you can't fail a test you don't participate in. And, I'll say it again. She doesn't want friends, she wants puppets. NTA, I hope you did something for her to thank her for helping you move, but outside of this, it's so annoying when people do this. She'll always test you, and she'll never stop. I don't necessarily agree with this. Appreciation doesn't have to be monetary or a reciprocal act. Simply saying thank you and showing appreciation that way should suffice to a real friend. When I was in my early 20s, my friends and I helped each other move all the time because we couldn't always afford to hire movers or pay to rent a truck, etc. So I certainly never expected them to take me out to eat or spend money unnecessarily to show their thanks. The thanks is the friendship and showing up for one another. That's all that should be owed or expected. Either way, fully agree that OP is NTA and she needs to drop this girl as a friend ASAP. A lot of people were split on whether thank you is enough for helping move or if it's just customary that food is provided. OP did update to say she did in fact buy food and verbally say thank you. This particular friend was not asked to help, but simply volunteered to help. But wherever you land on this topic, this girl was done for me as soon as OP explained the friendship testing. But let's be real, it was never about appreciation, it was about control. I mean, it'd be kind of funny if OP said, oh gee, I had special ordered a ridiculous expensive luxury item for you that's coming in soon because I had it special order, customized, gold plated, as a thank you for your help with the move. But seeing as you decided the $7 drink last night was the appropriate thank you, I'll return that other thing. Thanks for letting me know. Then fully ghost this manipulating person and never see them again. But again, that's probably not super mature of me. I love the pettiness of this one. And man, watch this girl backpedal so freaking fast. Okay, first off, I've 36F, been there before. And I'll cut to the chase quickly. Let go of this friend. No matter how much it hurts, friend breakups suck, how much other friends will say you're being unreasonable, let it go. Let it go. It isn't worth being friends with someone who expects you to guess their mood and act accordingly. It also isn't worth constantly feeling like a bad friend, so you end up overcompensating later. Trust me, it isn't worth it. I also want to stress that this isn't about communication, it's 100% about control. There may be a hole this friend is trying to fill that you just can't. No matter how hard you try, the more you try, the worse it will get. You're NTA. Yeah, this is definitely about control. And what this commenter had to say, no matter how hard you try to be the good friend, the goalpost will always be moving because she always wants you in her debt to manipulate you. So NTA. I enjoy reading stories like these because it gives us an opportunity to discuss about human interaction and emotion. I also really enjoy Doodles because I find them calming and they're easy to do. I would also like to read some stories that are not from Reddit. So if you have some stories that you would like to share on this channel, please send me an email. I hope you found these doodles calming and these stories interesting. Comment your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear from you. Or if you're shy, please put an emoji in the comments. And if you feel so inclined, like and subscribe. Thank you for watching till the end. I look forward to reading your thoughts and see you in the next one. Bye!